I am MKelsey, and I'm conducting an action research study for my capstone project for graduate class EDU 626 at Georgetown College. I've been teaching for 10 years, and I am currently a third grade math and science teacher at an urban intermediate school in northern Mississippi. My action research question is, what effect will professional development on research-based assessment modification have on the assessment practices of teachers of English language learners in an urban intermediate school? Other questions I had as I started my research was, have mainstream classroom teachers had any English as a second language training? And if mainstream classroom teachers have assessment modification training, will it change anything for the teacher or for the ELS student?
The idea for this action research study surfaced because unit math assessments were not modified for English language learners in the third grade at an urban intermediate school in the state of Mississippi. A checklist of modifications was given to teachers to verify what different strategies or adjustments each teacher was making for their English language learners who had not passed the first 9 weeks grading period. This checklist did not contain any specific modifications to make to assessments, except for reading the assessment to the English language learner. Items on the checklist are things like peer tutoring and preferential seating, extended time, shortened assignments, and individual and small group instruction, among other things. Finding out what mainstream classroom teachers know and utilize for assessment modification practices for their English language learners is what I want to know. After finding out what mainstream classroom teachers know, I want to determine what effect will professional development on research-based assessment practices have on teachers and on their English language learners. In doing this research, I hope to help mainstream classroom teachers modify assessments for this growing population of students. Lydia Breezeth wrote What You Need to Know About ELL's Fast Facts. In this article, it tells that in 2012-2013, there were 4.85 million ELL students attending public schools. In the last decade, there's been a 60% increase in this growing population. The general education population has not grown as sharply, just a 7% increase, as shown on Table 1. 3 common themes have surfaced from the literature review. Many mainstream classroom teachers have not had formal English as a second language training, and sheltered instruction has been shown to be the instructional choice for many school districts. And finally, assessments need to be modified. In 2005, Kathleen Flynn and Jane Hill co-authored a policy brief that described the challenges and opportunities posed by this growing ELL population in the central region of the United States. They had been experiencing double-digit growth in the number of English language learners that they serve. The influx of students posed a problem for teachers as their main student population was predominantly white. Few teachers were trained to teach English language learners, and even less were bilingual. Deborah Short wrote in her article, Training and Sustaining Effective Teachers of Sheltered Instruction, that with the number of English learners growing, the training of pre-service teachers has lagged behind. As of 2009, only 6 states require coursework in English as a second language methods in their teacher training programs. So as a result, most mainstream classroom teachers are unprepared to teach English language learners upon graduation. Diane Finner wrote in the February issue of Educational Leadership the article Helping ELLs Excel, Fair and Square Assessments. In this article, it describes Finner, who held a professional development for teachers. These teachers were either new to teaching or new to teaching ELL students. Finner taught the teachers a geometry lesson totally in German. At first, she didn't offer any support, and then as the lesson progressed, Finner added visuals and then finally a bilingual dictionary. She had the teachers complete an assignment totally in German. The idea of the lesson was to show teachers what an English language learner experiences on a daily basis, including how tired they are from thinking. Also in this article, Finner talks about how flawed content assessments can be for ELLs. She also suggested that an important step for building educators to work together to determine accommodations and assessment modifications for ELL students and to revisit them on a regular basis. Hansen and Thomas claim that more school districts are implementing sheltered instruction in their classrooms. This comes from an article called Sheltered Instruction Best Practices for ELLs in the Mainstream. It talks about how districts are seeing the benefits of the framework in mainstream content areas. Sheltered instruction is a research-based program, and the students in classes with SIOP, that's Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol, trained teachers outperformed those classes whose teachers were not trained. Hansen and Thomas believe that the staff development is key to the success of English language learners. The article Using Informal Assessments for English Language Learners comes from The Color in Colorado. This is a website that my district uses to teach teachers and parents and other interested parties about English language learners. This article talks about how standardized tests in English do not usually reflect the English language learner's true knowledge of the content area. It talks about how informal assessments provide a better idea of what students know. Scaffolding assessments allow English learners to demonstrate their knowledge through pictures, graphic organizers, and orally. Assessing English language learners in mainstream classrooms was written by authors Lenski, Ehlers, Zavala, Daniel, and Sun Erminger. These authors believe that assessment is a large part of literacy instruction. They go on to say that it's important for classroom teachers to know how to assess English language learners. The authors agree that many teachers are unprepared to modify assessments for English language learners. And because English learners bring a wide variety of learning experiences with them, teachers need to learn about the students' learning backgrounds. They also give suggestions on how to modify assessments. They think that giving English learners authentic learning activities with specific learning objectives gives a better idea of what they know. They also say that assessing in non-traditional ways, like using Venn diagrams and charts and drawings and mind maps, allows students to answer in multiple formats. and permit the students to answer questions orally and also to write answers to questions in their heritage language. I think that these articles from my literature review pretty much help show the three common themes that I've come up with, which were, mainstream classroom teachers haven't had formal training, and that sheltered instruction is probably the best instructional choice for a lot of school districts, and that assessments need to be modified. I'm thinking that I've made my case. Methodology. Seeing an educational problem in the school setting warrants investigation. Positive school change cannot happen without educators first taking notice of something that is not working and then effectively working to seek solutions to fix the situation. The Action Research study takes place in an urban intermediate school in northern Mississippi. The demographics of the school's population consists of 1,067 students in grades 3 through 5. The English as a second language student population is approximately 14% of the student body. There are 17 participants that are anticipated in this study. Of the participants, 16 are teachers. All teach English language learners in some capacity. The other remaining participant is an assistant principal at the school. The participants were chosen because they teach English language learners in their classrooms, and they are the focus of this study. The assistant principal monitors the English as a second language program and could be a catalyst for change in the way assessments are modified for English language learners. Procedure. Because of time constraints, the study was introduced through email. Directions were given on how to fill out the consent form and the survey. Each participant's paperwork will be assigned a number so that their information and answers to questions can stay confidential. All participants' information will be locked in a file cabinet in a classroom. The information will be destroyed approximately 1 month after the completion of the study. The initial survey asks questions of teachers such as what is their satisfaction level with the undergraduate training they've received in English as a second language. It also asks what teachers' comfort level is in teaching English language learners. The information will be collected and analyzed. Answers to the survey will help guide professional development training that the principal investigator will be giving. Survey questions will utilize a Likert scale to help analyze the quantitative data. The data will easily and quickly show what the participants know. The principal investigator will be interviewing the English as second language teachers. The questions asked of these two teachers will also help drive the information given at the training for study participants. This qualitative data is informational and will corroborate the findings from other qualitative data. The professional development training will begin with a PowerPoint presentation that gives mainstream classroom teachers valuable information on what they can do to modify assessments. At the conclusion of the PowerPoint, the principal investigator will have a question and answer session. Participants will have a chance to have their questions clarified. After the question and answer period, participants then will modify a science assessment with the principal investigator. The participants will be asked to modify an assessment for their own classes. The principal investigator will then give participants a follow-up survey. The survey will be used to determine the outcome of the training. The information will be analyzed as quantitative data. The survey will be used to determine the results of the professional development and teacher training. The analysis of the survey is to see if students made any progress on a classroom teacher modified assessment. The data analysis plan. The principal investigator will analyze the data from the first survey using descriptive statistics. The information from the survey will be used to drive instruction for teachers of English language learners. The principal investigator will use the measures of central tendency to indicate with a single score the standard or collective performance level of survey questions. The indices of a collective level of performance, attitude, or opinion of a group will help drive instruction for the professional development part of my research. Results will be reported as the median score in a table. The principal investigator will be using qualitative data with the interviews with the English as second language teachers. As they are analyzed, they will be looked at for patterns and corroboration between the two teachers. This information will be used to drive the instruction for the professional development. The principal investigator will analyze the data from the second survey using qualitative data. The investigator will be looking for patterns in the teacher's answers. The investigator will be trying to form a hypothesis to see if professional development helped teachers to modify assessments for the English language learners. The investigator would hypothesize that English language learners would do better academically with modified assessments.